I am going to let loose my inner grunge with today's video. So I hope you enjoy this. It's a little bit different than you're used to seeing from me. We'll be using some stamps in the card, the Elemental Swirl, which is part of our singles range. For dies, we're using the Beaded Swirl Flourish from our Finishing Touches. We're going to show you how to make a different kind of flower using the Sweetheart flowers. The New Zealand collection, the Hamilton die. And we'll be doing our sentiment with the pierced flags. And finally, also from the New Zealand collection, we'll be using the Wellington die. Okay, so we're going to start by doing a bit of stamping and grunging up our card. Now I've used a piece of taupe colored card here, and I'll just give you a quick measurement on that. It is 6 inches by 7.5. Okay. I've got the Elemental Swirl here. I'm going to stamp it using a clear perfect medium, and we're just going to randomly stamp it around the edge of the card. So I'll ink it between each of these stampings and just kind of twist it and turn it a little bit. Give it a good press. Yeah. Some of this will be covered, but some of it will show really nice and give you a bit of almost like a texture to the background. Okay, right about like that. There we go. Okay, so next thing I want to do is bring in my antique linen and my tattered rose. And we're just going to do a bit of inking around the edge with both of these, just to kind of grunge up the cardstock a little bit. Give it like an old-fashioned aged look to it. There we go. And I'm going to go over the top of that with a little bit of tattered rose to give it the slightest pink hue. Just warm it up a little bit. And you'll still be able to see a bit of the swirl coming through. There we go. Okay. Now, I definitely want to give it a little bit more of an antique, old-fashioned look, so I'm going to use the edge of my scissors here and distress the cardstock. And just by rubbing it, the edge of the scissors on the card, you'll get that fiber to come up. And I like to kind of move my hand and hold it a bit as I go. Rub it back and forth. And you can even give it a little more force so you get some rips in it to really distress it. It works great. So feel free to really, really get into there and take some of that fiber out. There we go. You should have a little bit of the fibers falling away from you too if you're doing it right. There we go. And I even like to do some curling of the corners just to give it a tiny bit more of that grungy, shabby chic look. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I've got a piece of, this is what I call cheesecloth, and you can usually find it in a hardware store in the painting aisle. And it's almost always comes in white, sometimes in an off-white, but we're going to do a little bit of distressing on that as well. So I'm just going to pick up some of the antique linen and kind of take some of that bright whiteness off of it. And it just will pick up most of those fibers. They're very, very loose, so you're not probably going to get all of them unless you spend a bit of time. And we'll even put a little bit of the pink hue to it as well. So I'll bring back in the tattered rose and give it a tiny bit of that as well, so it'll blend in nicely with our background. There we go. Move it around. Okay, and we can add some more once it's on too. So light spray on my page, and I'm going to sort of put it through a diagonal look and just pop it down. And you want to just kind of keep it wrinkly. You don't want to get it too straight. Going off the edge is fine. And when you're doing grungy, you don't want it to be too neat. You want to kind of make it a little messy. So we'll go back in, add some more here to it. Get that to stay down. There we go. And you can even trim a little bit off the edge and just kind of string it. So you get that really, really old-fashioned grungy look to it. Okay, so I like that. I've got a background we've created using some taupe mats and some black. I've gone around the edge and also distressed those. So let's just put this on with a little bit of glue. Pop that into place. Okay. I like that. There we go. And we're going to work forward. So now I'm going to start with the Wellington. I've cut one in black, but a bit of mounting foam on the back. We're going to use that in sort of a diamond orientation up towards the top. I'm just going to have it peeking off the edge there. I've done the Hamilton in taupe and backed it in taupe for a tone-on-tone look. So we'll seat that in the center. I'm going to pop that on this direction. So you just see the tip of the Wellington popping out there, okay? I've done my sentiment, You're So Special. I've stamped it in black, cut it out with the pierced flags in a taupe and backed it with the black. And that will go across the center of that die. Okay, so now I've got a place here to create a floral element, okay? So I'm going to show you what we've done, and let me bring in my sweetheart flowers that I've already cut. And there we go. I've done 2 of each size. I've done a little bit of inking on most of these, so we'll bring back the last one here, and I'm just going to go around the edge. This is your Tattered Rose. Give it a little bit more of a pink hue, and then I'm going to go back in with the antique linen and just give it some more color, just to give it that distressed look to it. Okay, pop these down, and a squirt bottle. So we're going to just give them all a squirt of water, get them nice and damp, and then scrunch them up. So I like to put my fingernail in the middle and just kind of bring them up around and just crunch them. Really, really get all that fiber broken up in that flower. Give it a good crunch. Do all of these. Some of your ink will just lighten up a little bit, so if you're a tiny bit heavy-handed, that's not a problem too. You can even do the back side. Okay, so I've got those all done. Let me just get a kitchen roll here and we'll wipe down our water. Okay, so now you just want to open them up a little bit. And there's a couple ways you can do this flower. You can put a brad in the center if you like. Sometimes it shows, and I didn't really want the brad to show, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these together by gluing them, but I'm going to use a heat tool because they won't stick while they're wet. So we're going to do a little bit of drying here. So let me pop this, just give it a tiny bit of dry, and move some glue in place, and we'll start to let it set up just a little bit there. We'll do this one. That should work. A little bit of glue in that. And you can see they're just holding their shape from where they were when you spritz the water and crunch them up. See if I can get both of these. Let's see, that should be enough to do it. Tiny bit of glue in here. We'll leave that last one. A little bit of glue in there. Okay, so we should be able to layer these up and make a really nice little flower out of them. In fact, I'll bring in my pad here, And using my pokey tool, we'll just pop them down into place a little bit, do a tiny bit of forming. Put these two together. Tiny bit of forming, and we should be able to get these two in there as well. Move that over. Get this one in the middle of that. And let's see if I can get all of those in place now. Give that a second to dry. And you can also do a little more forming, but you have what I call a very nice shabby chic flower. Pop that back down into place, just like that. It's absolutely gorgeous, I think. So I've done some ahead of time that are good and dry, so we will use those. I'll bring those back over, and I've got several of the beaded flourish that I've cut out of the taupe and the black, so we'll put all of these together here. So let's find my glue dots. There they are. Okay, so I think it's easiest to start with your larger flowers and put them into place. Let's get a couple more glue dots on there just to hold it secure. And I want that to cover the edge of that pierced flag, so I'm going to pop that right there. I'm going to do the other large one, oops, towards the top of that. So I've covered that so it's not showing and it's not covering my sentiment at all. So I've got those into place, and then we will start to glue a few of these beaded flourishes in and around the flowers, because they just will really make this come to life. Let's pop that right into there. And you can even cut these down and make them a little bit smaller, use bits of them if you like we can take off the bottom part of that. Just have that peeking out from underneath the edge of the flower on this side. Okay, and I want to use one of the black ones, have kind of a nice balance between the light and the dark here. Pop that off. Glue it into place. That right maybe between those two, and then we'll bring in some of the smaller sized flowers and add them around. There's one there, and I think that would look real nice added right about like that between the two big ones, and then we'll kind of cascade the smaller flowers down. There's one. Oh, get on there. Got to get the glue dot onto the flower. I'll tell you what, let's use glue on that one. That into place, and then we've got a few more beaded flourishes to add in and around. Undo those two, caught together a little bit. And that can go underneath there, popping down and around, and we'll use another black one here, coming out around this side. There we go. And few other flowers. Let's see if we can just glue these right along the edge here. Give that a second to hold. Pop that into place. And some of these little pieces can be used coming off the edge. It's real nice. So we'll put a tiny bit of glue there and make it look like it's coming from underneath this one to extend it a tiny bit. There. Really like the way that looks. So it's totally up to you. You can add a bit more if you like, but I think that really does do the trick. Once that glue's set up, they'll be nice and secure. And I think that's a lovely card. If you have those friends that maybe don't like the really frilly cards, you can do one with your inner grunge showing.